I loved what Carmen said when we first started. Because he is, I am. That's our definition. That actually defines our being. Because he is, I am. So as I was asking the Lord and just meditating on what he said to me that morning, just sitting with him in it, I said, Father, can you unpackage that a little bit for me? And his response to me was this. And at first I was like, okay, I know I'm gonna have to dig there. He said, love bears all things. Love bears all things. Now, granted, we understand bears, that word bears, B-E-A-R-S, means you bear the image of, right? You are the expression of. But I have to tell you personally, years ago, I was actually engaged with that particular statement. And I was asking Father, Lord, what does it mean love bears all things? Can you teach me about love bears all things? This was like 7 or 8 years ago. Now, let me give you the definition in the Webster's dictionary about bears, okay? Because I don't know about you, raise of hands. To me, when I first heard that phrase, or as I was meditating, not first heard it, but when I was meditating on that phrase, it meant basically to me what I'm about to read to you, its definition is. Like love, when I love somebody, I'm willing to take on whatever they've got to dish out, right? Love, like you put up with, or you bear the weight of, right? Am I the only one, or was anybody else in that definition? And initially, I'm talking initially. Okay. So the definition, Webster's dictionary definition, is to carry the weight of. Well, there you go. To carry or conduct oneself in a particular manner, to endure. That pretty much came in line with what I thought love bears all things meant. To endure what was being dished out, right? Long suffering. It was more in line with long suffering. To manage to tolerate. This is all Webster's dictionary definition. To manage to tolerate. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that does not sound like my father's character to me. Karen, deep sigh. I know, right? To manage to tolerate. To be able to accept or stand up to carry someone or something. Those are all the definitions of to bear or bear. Now, again, I don't know about y'all, but that is literally how I understood that verse back then. Love bears all things. It's almost like a martyr mentality. Love bears all things. Like we're going to tolerate it. We're going to endure it, because after all, I am the example of Father's love in the earth. Now, I looked in the Hebrew definition of bear, and it means to cover. A deck or a thatch, to protect. To keep by covering, to preserve. To keep secret, to hide. And that word to keep secret doesn't mean like And well, you get it. To hide, to conceal, to the roof of a house. The roof of a house. So when I read that, the roof of a house, suddenly I realized, oh my gosh, Father, your house is literally covered, the wing, under the shadow of his wing. It is that picture that is intended by that word bear. Love bears all things. It reminded me of, when I read that, it reminded me of Noah's son when he covered him, when Noah was making a couple bad choices or unwise decisions in the amount of alcohol he was drinking. Instead of making fun and, hey, everybody come and see his nakedness, he literally backed up and covered him. It reminded me of that picture. Now, as I was looking up the word, a couple of things that caught my attention as I was reading that was the word to cover, to protect, to conceal, and roof. I thought that was quite interesting. Roof is a definition or an example of what love bears all things is about. Now, there's two words that are talked about in the Old Testament about roof in the Hebrew. And one is the word korah. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And that's found in Genesis 19:8. And I'm not going to go into that one specifically. But the other one is Gog, or Ga'ah. And it's a gimel, an aleph, and a hay. And that word roof in Hebrew means to rise up, to grow up, to be exalted in triumph, and to be raised up. Matter of fact, two of the places it's talked about, that word roof is mentioned, is in Exodus 15, when Moses, Miriam, and the Israelites are saying, I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. It's that word triumph. And as I was pondering this aspect of what Father said, and I want to read it again, I created the natural realm to be the expression of time so that my immense passion and love could be experienced in all of its nuances and minutest attributes. What he's saying there is a triumphant aspect of himself in our very framework and makeup. It's within our very framework and makeup. It's within the very fabric of our makeup, is to be the triumphant expression of love in the earth.